The views and opinions expressed by the following program and its participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Bobo 89.1 FM and DMS Broadcasting respective stations. The program participants' opinions are based upon information they consider reliable and based on their knowledge.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
At the Health Services Authority, we want to keep you informed about the latest developments that impact your health because your health matters to us. Join us each Friday and Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. as we cover health news, offer advice, and answer your questions on Healthcare Today with HSA.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. Each and every Friday and Saturday, we get together and talk about all things related to your health. And today we are talking about something that I think everybody, I don't want to say fails at, but we struggle to get it right. And it takes a little bit of information and a little bit of focus, and we have the ladies here who are going to talk to us about getting focused. We're talking about Registered Dietitian Day. Now, you know, nutrition is definitely something that we want to strive to get better at, because I say all the time, you know, we don't eat healthy all the time, but we can do better at it. That is one of my thoughts with it. And I have some ladies here who are going to give us some more focus onto it. Introduce yourselves to our listening public.
My name is Simone Sheehan. I'm one of the dietitians at the HSA.
I'm Tamara Riley, and I'm the community dietitian with the Public Health Department in HSA.
So we're going to talk about what is Dietitian Day?
Well, each year, this is a program that's driven by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics in the US. But each year on the 13th of March, they celebrate National Registered Dietitian Day. It's not something we traditionally have been doing a lot of in the Cayman Islands, but it's something that we're going to maybe continue to do as the years go on to try and raise the profile of the importance of National Nutrition Month, which happens for the month of March every year in the US, but also to raise the profile of a registered dietitian and how a registered dietitian can provide a lot of guidance to families and individuals about how to really look after their health, primarily in the field of nutrition, but generally to general lifestyle related topics as well.
We live in a fast-paced lifestyle. Everything is kind of want to be pre-done. We're you know, if we're running late, there are some very simple things that we can do to help boost our diet overall. Right. And I think that is one of the things that National Dietitian Day promotes and pushes each and every year. This is the third year that I've seen you guys get involved with us here doing it. And I think it is a really good look because we have so much young kids that start off on that bad path.
That's true.
And the bad path is sugar and that salty stuff and all those things. And over a course of a lifetime, it really takes a toll on the body. And starting with what you put in can really help longevity.
Exactly. That is true. And the thing is that one of the main importance in focusing on the not just Registered Dietitians Day in the second week of March, but the whole month of March where we focus on nutrition is just to put an emphasis on how we can navigate nutrition, because nutrition is not just what you put into your system, but how you take care of your system holistically. And so it is important to really have that time when you can do some introspection. And I think that's what National Nutrition Month put a focus on. Introspectively, how can we look at what we can change to make ourselves healthier? And so we are here to help people make those decisions as they go along.
And the thing about it, folks, we say, and it's for me, it's kind of like, okay, in the beginning of the year, we're gung-ho, we're going to change how we fitness, we're health-wise, we're health-conscious. By February, Valentine's Day, you kind of smooth off a little bit. So I think the timing is good for us to kind of reevaluate and get re-excited about eating better and possibly changing little things to live better.
Right, that is true. And so this year in National Nutrition Month, the focus is on Beyond the Table. And that is such a great theme, because when you look at Beyond the Table, we're looking at farm to fork, and also how we can go into food production, distribution, and also the market.
Yeah, and obviously one of the big challenges is access. There is an excellent farmers market, as we know, in the Cayman Islands. And the growing food industry is expanding, but also it is possible for individuals to consider, even if you're in an apartment, that you could potentially grow some of your own ingredients at a fraction of the cost. One of my colleagues recently bought a tomato plant at the agricultural show, and that was on the 14th of February, and they're still getting tomatoes from that one tomato tree.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be overly ambitious, but you can start with some small growing plans, even if it's just a herb garden on your windowsill in your kitchen. But it is possible to do a lot for ourselves, which sometimes we maybe don't have the confidence or the skills or the knowledge, but there are a lot of really excellent websites that can guide you on what are easy to grow, how do you do it. There's one called National Gardening Association website, which is a very detailed website that, highlights a lot of strategies how to start small and grow your own ingredients. So it's very good to build your skills and get a lot of help from the internet.
Sounds good, folks. We're going to take our first break. Welcome to Healthcare Today with the HSA. We're talking about Registered Dietitian Day, which happens on the 13th of this month. And all of this month, we're going to be celebrating National Nutrition Month. So stick and stay. We'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm going to ask how we can get involved with doing the growing. If you're in an apartment, if you're in a house, maybe you're in your own bedroom at your own house. You can put a little bit of something together because it got great sunlight in that particular room. We're going to get some information from the ladies when we come back. Keep it right here.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6534 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
The Cayman Islands Health Services Authority's general practice and public health clinics have relocated to Smith Road Medical Center. At the new location, you'll receive top quality care in a comfortable, modern space, enhancing your patient experience. Do you have flu-like symptoms or other non-emergent illnesses or injury? HSA's new urgent care walk-in clinic is now open at the main hospital campus. The new general practice location is for appointments only. For more information, call 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Now back to Healthcare Today with HSA and our host, Chuck Taylor.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. Each and every Friday and Saturday at 1 p.m., we get together and talk about all things related to your health. And this time, we're talking about Registered Dietitian Day, and which falls in the space of National Nutrition Month. And I have the best in the business talking to me about how we can eat healthy, live better, and even possibly grow our own food a little bit smarter. And we left with that conversation.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So it's really good to try to start your own, even if it's a backyard farming. And as Simone, just to piggyback on what Simone said, you could also farm even in the realms of your apartment. So for instance, if you go to the supermarket and you buy like scallions, you can clip the root of the scallions before you put them into the refrigerator. You can put those into a jar and you can leave the roots open and they literally start to grow. If you have a small pot that you purchase, maybe from A.L. Thompson or elsewhere, you can literally just buy a pack of soil and you can plant those and put them on your kitchen windowsill and you'll have your own scallions. The same thing with thyme. And as Simone mentioned, the agriculture show, I actually bought some thyme there and I planted those, and those are flourishing as well. You can plant one simple seed, for instance, a lime that you purchase from the supermarket. You know, funnily, my husband brought home some limes, and they say lime may not survive in Cayman based on how the temperature is. And I think you have to have special conditions, and you know, the agriculture department can give you ideas. However, I plant that on my own, and today I literally have a lime tree.
Wow.
So it's just to find, you can use, you know, from your kitchen, you can use the waste from your kitchen and you can use that to make composites. So you can save those in bags or a covered pan. If you have an old paint pan, you can save those and you can make your own fertilizer. And that can be organic for your plants to grow. So it's not really hard. I think sometimes people probably just don't have the time.
Okay.
Right?
And I think, folks, the impact of the nutrition that we need, it helps the environment also. So they go hand in hand, folks. And I think that's a good way to kind of slide into the objectives of the National Nutritious Month. If we can talk a little bit about that, the objectives of the National Nutrition Month, because this, I think, kind of correlates for the whole year. We should be focused on it all the time, but we kind of highlight it for the month of March, Simone.
Yes. And I mean, I know we've been talking about gardening, and some people, they might already be thinking, oh no, I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. But even strategies like in the grocery stores and how you shop, what you purchase, is it in season? Is it local or not? Is it something that's going to get used rather quickly? Or can I use that ingredient in multiple ways? For example, you take a carrot. You might be planning to put some carrot in some stew, for example, but that doesn't mean that if you have 2 carrots left over in the fridge that they have to waste and be thrown out. You can chop them and make them into carrot sticks that you might bring for your lunch the next day. So you're really trying to lower your wastage amounts in the house. Buy what you need, not anymore. And that requires thinking before you go to the supermarket, even just 5 minutes. What am I going to buy? Am I going to use everything that I buy? Because what I hear a lot in my job is not just the cost of all the ingredients in the supermarkets and elsewhere, but also the amount of waste that people experience here. So smart shopping is a very important strategy to lower wastage, improve your budget, and have, you know, not wasting money as well as wasting food. But also, it's much kinder to the environment, because we know that food systems play a significant role in total greenhouse gas emissions. And we all know that that goes a long way towards affecting atmosphere and climate change. So if we're trying to be more environmentally aware, believe it or not, reducing your wastage of actual food can be an important strategy. So not only will you benefit personally, but also the environment will benefit from less wastage of food. So repurposing, if you want to use that word, food in your house, being creative, and sort of being more imaginative. And there's a great thing called the internet, which has tons of amazing ideas and lots of great websites that you can visit to give you ideas using ingredients that you maybe aren't familiar with. In lots of different ways.
I think that is a great starting point for us to start the conversation, folks, because, we because we're in Cayman, 99% of stuff we say are imported here.
Yes.
We have a great farmers market that I don't think we utilize enough. And that is it. On a Saturday or during the week when they have it over in Camana Bay, make sure you take your lunch hour, go down there for half hour, see what they have in season. Exactly. And go ahead and start planning your menu around that. Yeah. And also, when we talk about planning menus, it's good to actually have a plan. Say, okay, you know what? This week I'm going to focus on mixing up my food. Because we live in folks, I love my West Indian people. I love y'all to death, but we get colorblind when it comes to food.
Yes.
Brown kind of is it.
Yes.
And you can hear it. Brown stew this, brown stew that, curry this. So we kind of get stuck in one kind of lane. Mix up the colors. Remember when we were young and we used to have, it was almost mandatory that you had the multiple colors on our plates when we were kids. Let's kind of get back to that. Focus in on mixing, matching it up, and also trying other fruits. Trying other foods, those types of things, we kind of stick, okay, apple, orange, grapes, and there are a ton of variety of different foods that we now have access to that we should kind of dive into. I don't know, you guys are the professionals with that. Tell me a little bit about thoughts on that idea.
I mean, I agree with you. We all have our own cultural and traditional practices and knowledge around food that we grew up with and that we're familiar with. But if you are open and flexible about trying some new things, different ingredients, different root vegetables, things that grow locally, yams and cassavas and breadfruits and things like that, you may not have grown up. I grew up in Ireland, so I definitely never even heard of breadfruit when I was growing up. But, maybe I would love to cook it with it and try it in a potato salad, a breadfruit salad.
Right.
So, but it's just having that openness to maybe trying new things.
Yes, and also just to go back to the shopping, I think what you said is important to go to the supermarket with a shopping list. When you build your shopping list, you have an idea as to what you're going for, and so you don't end up shopping blindly, because a lot of the blind shopping is what leads to the food waste, as what Simone is saying. And then the second thing is that remember that a lot of the foods that we buy can be frozen, because a lot of the foods we buy is frozen anyway. So if we're looking to buy fresh from our farmers market, which is local, we could also freeze some of those foods and potentially use them at another time in another dish. And if we cook, instead of wasting the food or pouring it into the garbage, we can freeze some and use it in another dish, as Simone mentioned earlier. So those are some of the ways that we can use things. And as she's mentioned about being open culturally, I think that's one of the things, because remember, when it comes to culture, there's also ethnicity. And so with different ethnicity, you find that people may not be open, and so the foods too may not impact us the same. And so we have to understand that within our culture, we have to try to make the food market diverse as well, so that people can go there and see things that they're used to. Just as Simone mentioned with breadfruit, if there were open culturally, then you find that the people who prepare the meals could say, oh, you know what, maybe this would be better for the children that we're cooking for, because that's what they're used to ethnically. And so they may be able to tolerate them more. And so this could actually, it may reduce some of the obesity, because I think one of the problems too is that when you're not open to something ethnically, we tend to go to the more traditional fast food, the ones that are salty, universal, because some fast food places that we know, they're universal, they're almost anywhere in the world recognized. And so when the kids recognize those, they tend to eat those more than if somebody who is preparing the food for them don't understand. What are you cooking for us?
What is this? And I think this is a good point that you're harping on. My nephews are from the States and they come down every summer. And so one summer I actually had a breadfruit and this is sidebar story, and I cut it and I made tacos out of the breadfruit.
Great.
Yes, made them thin, and they watched it. They saw me pick it off the tree. They watched it. And every summer they come, this is one of their delicacies that they're looking forward to the point that they make it now.
Wow.
So this and these are kids that grew up in the city and stuff like that. So so when they're talking to their friends and they're showing pictures, it's changed their look on how food is. So now they're not like, oh, we don't want corn, corn tacos. We like the breadfruit
tacos.
and right. So they equivocate that with us here in Cayman. So a little sidebar. So
and that's a little creative as well. I mean, that was getting quite creative with the breadfruit, I think.
Yeah.
I would never have thought of that.
And this is something I think because we have such a vast variety of nationalities here,
Right.
we need to tap into, and we can put our own twist and spin onto it to get that variety of foods from different food groups and things of that nature. I think that is important.
And you also touched an important point that Tamara and I were speaking about earlier before we came in about, Tamara was saying, how she's aware of in the schools, the not teaching of domestic skills and cooking skills and the importance of that, because so much emphasis is placed on academics and grades and performance and some of those basic skills of shopping, cooking, simple things like your nephews from the US, they learned an important skill there as how to cook and use a local ingredient. So that was a much bigger message that they learned there. But we're definitely aware that a lot of the schools don't put emphasis on those cookery skills.
Yeah, and I think this is and folks, we're not preaching to the choir, but just listen for a second. This is one of the things I think that we have to remember. It may not be taught outside, but this is something maybe that we can do internally. Like for me, with my kids, I say, all right, you guys don't want to wash dishes? Pick a day that y'all going to cook.
Yes.
Because they complain, we got to wash dishes again. I said, hey, in our household, who cooks don't wash dishes.
Yes.
So you don't want to wash dishes? Learn to cook.
Yes. Yeah. And just to add to that, as Simone was mentioning, I was saying to her that my daughter, she's 12, and they actually had the after school program where they do cooking. And she has become so integrated into this whole cooking thing where she is so versed at cooking now where she actually cooked at home so our 4-year-old could enjoy.
Right.
And I'm saying that the fact that they taught these things at after school, and I think children, yes, they may be open to cooking, but sometimes us as parents, they don't want the boredom of us trying to teach them what children. I think children, when they're in groups and they do things like those cooking classes, they enjoy what they prepare, they enjoy it with their friends, and then they want to try it at home with you.
Exactly.
And so it helps them to become more aware, and they will want to actually prepare foods that they can enjoy themselves, and it helps them to navigate the supermarkets for ingredients as well.
Exactly. One of the things I always try to challenge people, I said, you know what, if you have a child turning into a teenager, sit down and let them go with you. Let them go with you shopping. Because when I take my kids shopping, they're like, wow, that's expensive. I said, yeah, and here, so this is what we're looking at. So we're going to be smart about it and find an alternate to this because you like this, you want this. And so then they have a better understanding of how the world works. And part of that is also eating. Absolutely. Because they think that food magically appears, but there is a little bit of effort into it, and that's the understanding and the love and the things that we go into it. So when we talk about nutrition, and I want to say the theme this year is beyond the table. How do we get nutrition beyond the table?
I mean, I think we've touched on some of the key points, which is planning meals, shopping sensibly, smartly, budget conscious decisions, because we know how expensive everything has become in the supermarkets and everywhere in Cayman. It is also looking at the different food groups and how you can incorporate some of your more familiar ingredients into your meal planning. It doesn't have to mean that you cannot eat your favorite things. You may love all the yams and cassavas. They can still be part of a very healthy, balanced diet, but it's about the balance and the portion. And there's the 50-50 rule, maybe take it 50% less frequently or take 50% less. So let me give you an example. So say you're a big fan of donuts, then you can apply the 50-50 rule. That's not a local Caymanian thing, I know, but just an example where you say, I'm going to have donuts 50% less at the time, and I'm going to take 50% less of the donuts. So if I normally eat one, I'm going to eat half and give half to my work colleague or somebody else. So there's lots of ways that you can make healthy choices using sensible, approaches. But it's down to maybe taking the time to plan. That's really what's key here, because as Tamara said, when you go to the supermarket and you're winging it,
you're going to spend more.
Get distracted.
You're going to get distracted.
Yeah.
The packaging, people
chips are on sale. Ooh, I'll buy 2 bags of those.
Folks, they spend millions of dollars to figure out what it takes to make you pick them up.
Exactly.
So you have to be aware of this stuff, the industry that I in is, entertainment radio. So
Yeah.
we kind of catch it early. It was like, oh my gosh, and I always use this. I said, Ben Affleck has a Dunkin' Donut suit on. And my daughter's like, oh my God, that is so awesome. I said,
Yes.
I used to work for them.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. And she's like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. Now I understand a little bit
It's an
better.
advertisement.
So it's about having that conversation with them, taking 2 minutes and, the packaging on it. And you girls can help me with this, understanding labeling.
Yes.
Being able to take 2 seconds to take a look at it and understand when it says certain things, that means something else.
Yeah.
Understanding, certain foods, the salt contents, the potassium, things of that nature. And also when it says all natural, what that means and things of that nature.
I usually, when I talk to my patients, I usually tell them that it's not going to be easy to always navigate the label, because some of the things you may not understand, and especially what they're doing now is they're using a lot of scientific words to kind of distract you from wanting to read the label. I mean, it's a sales world that we live in, and everybody is producing and everybody wants to make money. But I always say use the 5% less rule. When you look at the label, make sure that it says 5% lower, or 5 in terms of your sodium. You want your sodium to be 5% of your daily value or less. So when you look at the daily value, you can look at the amount of sodium in it, yes, but then when you look at the daily value side, if it's 5% or lower, usually it's okay. But what you want to make sure is that, for instance, if you have a pack of crackers, let's use that for an example. If you have a pack of crackers and it says the serving size per container is, say, per container is 10 people, and the serving size per person is 5 crackers. Now, in that 5 crackers, if it's saying that the total calories is, say, 300 in 5 crackers, I'm going to be like, okay, let me just look and see what the daily value looks like. So it's 5% of that daily value is sodium, and I'm only able to eat 5 crackers, and I'm getting 300 calories. Even though the 5% is low sodium, I'm not going to eat 5 crackers. 5 crackers for 300 calories, let me just move on.
Right.
I may be able to find 15 crackers for 300 calories. I'm not saying that, but I'm using that as an example. What you want is lower calories in the quantity that you should consume.
Okay.
And then the percent daily value, keep that 5% or lower.
Understandable.
Yes.
And that's easy to, because when you look at it, they say serving size, you can see that right on top of it.
Big and bold.
That's probably one of the most recognizable ones that you can see. And folks, when you have, and crackers, for instance, is real good, or cookies, serving size, they say, is 3 cookies. You're not going to eat 3 cookies. That's probably just in one sitting for the first 20 minutes. You may snack on that. So you realistically are looking at about 7 to 10. Then you have a better understanding of the sizing and the portion of it.
Yeah, because then you're multiplying those numbers by 7 to 10 if you're having 7 to 10 servings.
Right.
You're also, key things to look at are how much fiber is in. Is it made with whole grains? Because, generally we don't eat enough fiber in our diets. So you want to make sure that wherever possible, you're choosing whole grain, whole meal, whole wheat choices, preferably at least 2.5 grams of fiber per serving or more. So, it's complicated. A label can be complicated. And because in Cayman we import food from all over, Central America, across the Caribbean, UK, America, and all the labels are not the same.
Okay.
So the American label is that nice white one that makes it very easy to follow, and it tells you exactly how much added sugar, for example, is added to a food that you're having. So it's really very nicely laid out for you. But other places, they may just have the list of ingredients, or maybe in a foreign language that you don't understand.
Right.
So recognizing key words in the ingredients becomes important. For example, sugar. There's a lot of words that describe sugar, not just sugar. You have honey, agave, molasses. You have any word ending in OSE is a sugar. You have anything with the word syrup attached to it, such as high fructose corn syrup, is a form of added sugar. You have made from concentrate, which is more concentrated in sugar. So there's a lot of ways that sugar can sneak in. And unfortunately, they may have written on the front of the label or on the front of the packaging, no added sugar, because in their mind, they didn't add sugar, but they may have added other ingredients that will still add sugar to the food item. So it becomes complicated. But, simply speaking, you're looking at the calories, you're looking at the fiber, you're looking at how much fat is in something. Preferably, you want to have less saturated or animal fat wherever possible as well. And then, of course, you're combining this with balance, variety, vegetables, which is a challenge for some people to have vegetables regularly on their plate. Your goal is 50% of your plate needs to be your vegetable salad, fruit combination. And that can be very difficult for people because often when you go to a restaurant, they will have a lot of the rice and things like that are less expensive for them to make and some protein, and the vegetables might be there as a garnish as opposed to a proper serving.
Right.
So the labels are one part of the big cog of making healthy choices.
Understandable. And I love when I talk to you ladies because you put it in a very layman's term. It becomes very understandable because when you think of sugar, and we just use that as an example, I don't think as honey or agave as sugar. And we talked about this in the office here about how much coffee you drink or sweet drinks you have. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Cut that in half. Let me replace it with water. Let me start cutting it down. So now we're down to 1 cup a day, whereas before it might have been 5 or 6 cups. And each time you have a cup, you're adding sugar into it.
Yes.
And then you have sugar throughout the day in other ways. So your sugar level is extremely high up. That's going to lead to complications.
Your added sugar.
Right.
Because there's natural sugar in lots of things. We're not as concerned with that. It's more the added sugar.
Right.
Because that is really very much an empty calorie. It doesn't have any nutritional value for us. So you're not getting protein, you're not getting calcium, you're not getting vitamins, you're not getting anything, just sugar, which then is considered a calorie, obviously, and then gets converted to fat, which is in time can lead to weight gain if there's excess added sugar consumption. Other things too, but that's just an example.
And that's
Understandable.
Right. And that's where we find a lot of our, not just our children are coming down with type 2 diabetes earlier onset in life, but they're also having tooth decay. They're also having hypertension and, heart disease, those kind of things because of the amount of sugar that is coming from various places. Biscuits, chips, juices, all those places that they're getting all of these
kind of filler stuff without having a meal. So when it comes to having a meal, I'm not hungry,
right.
But they continue to eating all of these little snacks and little things of that nature.
And a lot of condiments have added sugar, like ketchup, barbecue sauce, salad dressing. You might be shocked to see just how much sugar is added to those types of ingredients. And kids in particular are very partial to ketchup being added to
almost everything.
And it's I'm going to take a quick break and come right back. I have a ketchup story that I got to tell you, ladies. You're listening to Healthcare Today with the HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor. We're talking about National Nutrition Month, which is the month of March, and specifically Registered Dietitian Day, which happened on the 13th. Keep it right here. This is Healthcare Today with the HSA. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Now back to Healthcare Today with HSA and our host, Chuck Taylor.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with HSA. I'm your host, Chuck Taylor, talking to the ladies about Registered Dietitian Day and also National Nutrition Month, which is the month of March. So before we left, I was telling them about the story. I was traveling over the Christmas season, and this is a local restaurant, and I'm not going to say the country, but it was a country that wasn't in Cayman. And I actually had ketchup and was like, this tastes so different. This isn't ketchup. And they was like, yeah, this is ketchup made locally. And I was like, this tastes nothing. And they were like, oh, it's just tomato paste and no salt and no sugar.
Right.
And I was like, wow, there was a distinct difference in the taste between local ingredients and what you rip from a packet and then you put onto, whether it was ketchup or fries or whatever. It was completely different, and they was like, oh, that's because we use 100% local ingredients and we don't add sugar into the ketchup, and we buy it from a local distillery or whatever they had there. And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. That taste was so different. It was so refreshing that I had to comment on to it because it was so different.
And you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was delicious. It was actually better than all of the other condiments that they had there, which would have been like mustard and things like that. But it was just completely tasteful and delicious.
And that was obviously a very simple amount of ingredients that they used there, using a lot of local ingredients to that area. So that is, again, the farm to fork kind of National Nutrition Month theme that we're trying to kind of get people to be more open and considerate about, because there are ways to make commonly used condiments and ingredients and recipes using local ingredients that will give you an excellent flavor profile, and still very true to your culture, and a big step in the right direction in terms of being health conscious and also environmentally sustainable.
Right. It was completely, I was not expecting that, to catch me from that point. But that brings us back to the idea of local, being creative locally, and also sustainable local farming.
Yeah. I mean, we're very fortunate in the Cayman Islands. We have a lot of really excellent restaurants, and they target from every kind of, food taste there is. But what I would personally love to see more on the, menus when you go into restaurants is you see things like gluten-free GF identified, you see vegan or vegetarian identified, you might even see low LS, low salt. But one thing that I haven't really seen much of, I have seen occasionally, is the letter L, which would let, people patronizing the restaurant know that local ingredients have been used in the preparation of this dish. And when you have professional people who have a lot of training and skills, they can make things taste really good. Things that you wouldn't have thought could taste so good.
Right.
So I would love to encourage restaurants to begin to consider adding something like a sticker or a label that identifies this as local.
That's
The
awesome.
specials boards, when you go into restaurants, they'll list the specials, and if they've used local ingredients, I think they should highlight that. Personally, that will definitely draw attention to that dish
local
more.
herbs, local
Anything.
beef, whatever it is locally that
Absolutely.
that attribute to that meal. That is a great idea.
Yes, and just to add to what Simone is saying about locally, I think one of the things that we need to highlight as well is to allow the local farmers to be integrated into the supermarkets more frequently. If we go to like some supermarkets, you see they have an area where they have like local produce, but what I want for them to do is to have it more highlighted to the front, where people know that these are actually local products,
Right.
and not too far to the back.
You got to go looking for it.
You we want it to be there, and I think these ingredients, if they are utilized in as Simone mentioned, then people will be more drawn to go into these places to purchase these local produce.
Very, very true. I think that is a great way, because you have to think of it also staying nutritional on a budget.
Yes.
We have a lot of financial constraints over the time frame, and I think this is a great way for us to keep the economy rolling, keep that part of it understandable, and also being able to be cooking and preparing and planning meals on a budget should include local access also.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, other strategies there are buying in bulk, buying what's on sale, buying seasonally. What I have seen a lot of in the Caymans in recent years is, using certain food delivery companies to order food from X, Y, and Z and deliver. And the delivery costs are quite significant. And that's a massive budgetary pressure that you're putting under. Some people may not have any problems with that, but a lot of families, when the delivery costs are quite significant.
It is.
So that's a huge cost saving by maybe thinking cook at home, buy in bulk, prep in advance, freeze, as Tamara mentioned. Those are all things that you can do that can have a positive impact on your budget. And another one is, a meal doesn't always have to contain meat, chicken, or fish for it to be, for a protein source. You have a whole load of legumes and alternatives, plant-based alternatives that can be sometimes a lot more affordable and also very nutritious because they carry their own fiber, They have more of the key nutrients. They're not processed, and so there's a great opportunity there to cut costs and also eat significantly healthier, with a lot of key aspects to a healthy diet as part of a legume-based balanced meal.
Yeah.
So, and a massive saving cost-wise.
I think that's a good point, Ms. Simone, that you made, because folks don't realize that other countries in this world don't eat meat every day.
No.
It's meat is almost considered a delicacy, maybe once a week, if that, or once every couple of days. We are blessed. We have access to those types of things almost daily, and having easy access means consuming a lot.
Right.
So it's quicker to pull in on the side and grab this rather than driving home and preparing this, because you're not sure what to prepare. And as you get into the routine of it, it gets easier. So, on a Saturday or Sunday, you prep for the next 3 days or next 4 days. And then after that, you set sail for the next rest of it to get you through the week. So it takes a little bit of thought process. And folks, use the internet. The internet has some great hacks to help you prep things and store things, keeping, if you don't know certain fruits, you shouldn't keep together. My daughter pointed that out. I said, Dad, why are you doing this? They're going to spoil faster if you put bananas with. So, in those types of ideas and those types of things, be proactive with it. It helps with the overall consumption for the family.
Yes.
And I like what, sorry, go ahead.
No, just to piggyback on what you're saying, I usually suggest too that when you cook, like maybe on Sunday, you can cook more than one type of meat, and then you could perhaps use those for 2 days, and then I usually always recommend that you have at least 2 no meat days per week, so that you can allow your body to break down whatever other meats that you would have eaten during the week. So if you pre-prep, if you cook, for instance, on Sunday for Monday and Tuesday, then Wednesday and Thursday could be no meat days. And then on those days, you could use those days to maybe pre-prep for the other days of the week as well. And that could save you time. Ultimately, it saves you money. And it also, when you bring your own food, I always say this, when you bring your own food, it saves you that guilt you feel when you just run to somewhere to grab something, because oftentimes when you're hungry and you do the grab and go, it's never always what you really want. It's just what you get because you're hungry.
Yeah, you suffice with it.
Yes.
I'll take that. I'll grab that.
I don't even like it, but
Yeah,
I'll just get it. I'm
because
hungry.
it's fast.
Yes.
And then you're left with the guilt of what you just ate, because it's not actually what you really should have eaten.
Very true. And folks, if the satisfaction of cooking and the satisfaction of having the meal that you prep is ultimately, I would say almost 60% of you eating and feeling good about it, because you know that you spent the time to prep that. You know what's went into that. I tell people, I said, I'll eat out, but sometimes afterward I feel bloated because they had salt in the food. They had MSG or whatever. You just don't know. We have great restaurants here that I have always been for, but when I travel and things of that nature, I'm always wary about that, because I'm scared, like, oh man, the food here is great, but when I see a salad, I know exactly what a salad looks like. You can't fool me with what a salad is. Now, and this is just because I traveled a lot over the years. I'll be places and they'll be like, fish and things like that. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how fresh this is. I don't know how long this could be from yesterday and things of that nature. So I'll stick to what I know and what I'm sure of. That's just been me traveling over the years. And you get better places now because you have access to information. So you can always check, say, hey, what you guys cook with, And most restaurants, they love when you ask them those questions.
Right.
They love to show off, well, we have natural ingredients from this market or from this place. I've been places and they've actually taken me in the back of the kitchen to show me what they were doing, because I would just had a little, because I'm like, oh, so what about this? They're like, come, we'll show you. They're super proud of things like that. So that is a plus to what you're getting.
Yeah.
So have that, don't be afraid to ask questions when you're out and about.
Yes, and just to also add that when you do your own food prep as well, you know what you put in your food, and it helps to support good gut health, because at the end of the day, when you know what you put in your food, you're actually preventing yourself from introducing certain types of unhealthy bacteria that you're not sure of. So it's best oftentimes to try to get your own ingredients, and then you can actually prevent certain types of contamination as well, because sometimes the foods in some of the places that you purchase the foods, they probably have been out for a long time as well. We're not sure, and some cold cuts and some hot foods maybe put together, and it's not maybe the best thing for you.
Right.
So you learn to know your system, you learn to navigate the foods that works for your system, and then that also supports your immunity.
Very, very true. Folks, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to start wrapping up. Just a reminder, we're talking about Registered Dietitian Day that happened on the 13th of this month, and as we continue on discussing National Nutrition Month, which is all the month of March. We'll be right back.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
The Health Services Authority's new pharmacy is now open at the Smith Road Medical Center. The new location features a large, comfortable waiting area and ticketing system to improve the patient experience. All uncollected prescriptions and refill requests previously submitted will now be available for collection at the Smith Road Pharmacy. Request your refills online at hsa.ky via WhatsApp 925-6534 or call 244-2715. For more information about our pharmacy hours, visit hsa.ky.
Now back to Healthcare Today with HSA and our host, Chuck Taylor.
Welcome back to Healthcare Today with the HSA. We're talking about a Registered Dietitian Day that happened on the 13th of this month. And we are basically celebrating for the whole month of March, National Nutrition Month. And I have with me, go ahead, ladies, introduce yourselves once again. Give all of your accolades.
Tamara Riley, Community Nutrition in the Public Health Department at the HSA.
And Simone Sheehan, dietitian at the HSA.
And as we start wrapping up, we're talking about the importance of basically shopping, cooking at home, and also understanding the foods that you bring to the table. It's all about kind of mixing and matching to get the best results rather than sticking with just rice every day, just meat every day. Meat 3 times a day is probably gonna hurt you, I would say. So you gotta mix and match, and the ladies here were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and earlier on, I don't know if your listeners heard it, but you mentioned that your daughter had given you some good advice about storage of fruits and vegetables in your fridge and in the house. And one of the things that I was going to comment on is I do find the general public and young children and teenagers and adults obviously are coming to our offices far more knowledgeable, far more aware, higher expectations because they have a lot of really good knowledge already. So I think as a community, we need to listen to everyone in the community and be influenced by even what our children are telling us and sharing with us, because they actually do know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they take the time to do things that we don't do, and that's research. We in the old days, I tell people, I said we were used to the big encyclopedia, and that was if we wanted to. Now it's 2 clicks and they can navigate where they need to find information. We just got to put them in that right direction. Because I'll say to her, so how healthy is this? And she'll like, hold on, Dad, let me check.
Let me check TikTok.
Yeah, that got a lot of salt in it. You're not, because, and this is just in our household, we basically threw out salt about 15, 20 years ago. We don't use any salt in our household. If you see salt in my household, it's for dyeing clothes or getting stains out or something like that.
Yeah.
We just, it's just a purpose choice that we did do with my mom and things of that nature. So we found alternate to herbs, oregano. We mix and match a lot. So I consider us, I hope, the average because we have a lot of influences from different. We try to make at least once a month. We try to do some international dish. And that's just because I've traveled a lot. And I say, okay, you know what? So if we were in Japan, what would we be eating? Well, we would be eating sushi. Well, we can't make sushi and then we'll find some alternate. But it's a conversation that I have with my kids that I think, our parents had with us, but they wasn't privileged to be as worldly. So they did what they knew. Yeah. And a lot of it have, in our region, Spanish influence, Jamaican influence, Barbados, Cuban, different things of that nature. So a lot of our food gravitate towards that. But now we have vast influences, so let's take advantage of that.
And just to add that, it's good to get your information in the right places too. And you find that around the world, you have a lot of the Dietetics Association that have their legitimate website, like the American Dietetics Association, the Australian Dietetics Association, the Canadian Dietetics Association, the British Dietetics Association, even the Japanese, which is the Jamaican Dietetics persons, and Candy, they have information that you can click, you can find research that tells you, what you need to be eating, what's best for this, what's not good for some things. So it's good to get this information from the right place, right sources, so that you're able to be educated the right way.
Right.
So when you regurgitate that information, you know that you're regurgitating something that is right. The
exactly.
Right information.
And I think, that's always great because, a lot of us kind of go to Dr. Google, and I said, go specifically to the association, go specifically to the registered people who this is what they do every day. AI is and I get into this, folks, because I'm kind of a techie. They try to give you the best information that they find, but that information isn't always correct. So go to the source that do the research, sources that have pamphlets, sources such as the HSA, who have links to other organizations that have the know of how to eat healthier. And, and this is also for all of the schools and the preschools who look for help with building their menus, people who are looking to be online with stuff. Ask the professionals, ask the ladies like in front of me here who are able to give you an honest approach to being better at eating.
Yeah. And full circle, that's really what a registered dietitian does. It is a lot of individualized counseling based on medical need versus what's real in terms of what you want to eat, what your culture sort of demands that you maybe eat, and marrying those sort of concepts together so you end up with an individualized plan that is going to improve whatever health problems that you may be experiencing. Sometimes people think I can only go to see a registered dietitian if I'm sick, and generally we do tend to see, most of our clients do tend to have some clinical need, but a dietitian can also give you a lot of very good information relating to general health, wellness, fertility, like so many things that people are concerned about. And nutrition is pretty much key in pretty much everything, really. Nutrition is a component of all things to do with health, from babies and pregnancy all the ways up to elderly. So do consider reaching out to a dietitian, a registered dietitian.
Exactly. With that saying,
yes, just to add, as Simone mentioned, and I'm happy you mentioned about, it's about life cycle nutrition. And as we talk about the whole, beyond the table, we can't forget our geriatric patients who are not able to sit at the table and are on some sort of specialized nutrition, whether it be tube feeds and those medical nutrition therapy feeds, that we have to find ways to support them as well. And, we mentioned about, the mindful eating in terms of our culture. And I just wanted to add these few tips that when it comes to mindful eating and cultural and traditions, we need to look at choosing the foods that we enjoy. We also need to grow the skills and knowledge that we need to support everyone around us and their eating habits as well. And then we want to look at creating cultures and traditions, new cultures and traditions as we grow families. Because remember, we have families that are mixed cultures. So we have to make sure that we try to intertwine and blend those cultures together so we can create new traditions as well. And then we want to look at sharing across generations. So from the older persons, we look down to the younger ones. How did they survive? Because a lot of the things that we're eating now, it's not necessarily what they used to eat then, and they survived a lot of the elements that came on to them. And so if they pass down those old information, those traditions, and I think those information can help the younger generation now to survive some of the diseases and the illnesses that are now ravishing, taking over the communities. I think one of the important thing is that if our older persons pass on this information to the younger persons in in different community settings, we would give them the opportunity to create this longevity of the knowledge that they have. And I think that's what we want.
Very true. Ladies, great talking with you. If someone wanted to reach out to you and get in contact with you, what's the best way that they could do that?
Well, there's a HSA portal which anyone can access once they've set up an account, and most people do have an account now. Through that portal, you can reach out to a team expressing your interest in having an appointment with the dietitian, and they can reach out and schedule that for you. We have phone numbers if something is pressing or urgent. Emailing us, which is our name.surname@hsa.ky. So there's a number of ways that they can get a hold of us.
Exactly. Sounds very, very good.
And also for home care patients, because we also do home care. So for those patients who are non-ambulated and are not able to come into the clinics, we do offer home care services for those patients so that we can offer our nutritional service to them as well. So you can reach out to us and we can get involved in helping to take care of your families who are on home care.
Excellent. So my final thing as we wrap up, folks, you've been listening to Healthcare Today with HSA. We're talking about Registered Dietitian Day, which was on the 13th of this month. And all for the whole month, we talk about National Nutrition Month. Ladies, if you had one thing to wrap up with and say to our listening public to help them get on the path of eating better, nutrition-wise, and focusing on the longevity, I know it's a big question. What would you say about that?
I mean, I think approaching your health holistically is important. So it's a combination of exercise, other lifestyle factors like limited alcohol, no smoking, but nutrition is very, very central to all aspects of health. So I would say nutrition is kind of a broad strokes approach, but it's also very, very critical. So, looking at openness, flexibility, willingness to try new things, being aware of the My Plate model and how that balanced meal, how it needs to look, even within the constraints of finances, cultural, traditional, and openness and flexibility to being willing to try new things and looking at identifying more local ingredients to help you achieve those goals.
Awesome. Thank you.
And just to say, nutrition is not a one size fits all. And so the important thing is to find the size that fits you and work with that, because sometimes you may not want to embrace, a lot of times people don't want to embrace the size that fits them. They want to reach out and grab various things, but it's not necessarily for you. So find out what suits your health status and work with that. And that's why the dietitians are here to help you to navigate your health status. So what we do your nutritional assessment, assess where you are, and then we find a size that fits you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I just want to add one more tiny point, that if you look on the HSA website, we're hoping that a series of handouts will be uploaded there that will provide information on all aspects of what we discussed today. There's 20, 30 different handouts that you can access if you want to know more information about aspects of what we discussed this morning.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for stopping by here
today.
Thank you
too.
Thank you.